Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. Today we are going to be talking about the recent event that is going on in The Sims 4 Blast from the Past. So this whole event is kind of based around nostalgia. You have Emmett, I forgot his last name, but basically this character is the time traveler from The Sims 3 Back to the Future, and you are kind of helping him get materials, I'm assuming, to kind of go back to the future or back to the past. I don't exactly know, but they brought the character back for this event, and a lot of the rewards have to do with previous Sims games. I'm assuming they decided to do this because of the re-releases of The Sims 1 and Sims 2 to kind of build up the hype, build up the nostalgia, and kind of probably get more sales, which is a really good strategy in my opinion, so no hate for their decision to do that. Now, I do want to say overall, I think the event was pretty good. It was a pretty good idea to do it. I do have some criticisms, but I also want to give credit where credit is due. So first off, I want to talk about the more positive things about this event. First thing that I want to talk about is the story during the event. While you are doing the different tasks, there is a story prompt going on in the notifications that kind of explains everything that's going on, explains what you have to do, and I think it was very well written. I think that a lot of the object descriptions in particular are always very well written. Even if I don't necessarily like the objects, I do have to give the Sims team credit for the creativity when it comes to the storytelling. On the other side of that, I will say that the actual animations of the different tasks that you do seem very repetitive. There are no new animations, which, to be fair, I didn't really expect there to be any new animations. It's a free event. If anything, they would save those for paid for content or new content that they would bring out. So I'm not surprised that there isn't any new animations, but a lot of the tasks seem to be very repetitive. So even though the prompts itself is quite different, like there are different things that you need to research on the computer, your Sim is just doing the same computer animation. So although the storyline that they've come up with is pretty good in my opinion, the actual playing of the event can get kind of repetitive, kind of boring, and a little bit tedious. This event is no different from other things in the game. I feel like The Sims 4 is very much a game where you kind of have to grind through the different goals. It's more like a quest storyline, if anything. For example, I'm referring to aspirations, when you choose like the family aspiration, the nerd brain aspiration, or anything like that. In order to get further in the aspiration, they give you like a checklist of things to do. So it's very much filtered into a singular way of doing things. And it's the same way when you throw a party, a wedding. Instead of just playing and enjoying the wedding, you kind of have to look at the different checklists in order to get a gold event. I find a lot of the time when I throw a party, I focus more on the checklist to try and get a golden party rather than just kind of enjoying it. So I always have to buy a stereo, make sure people are dancing, give people drinks, and it's kind of like, I understand that those are some things where you can have a fun party, but if you want to kind of create your own thing, it's possible that you're going to get like a bronze ranking or even just no ranking at all, which makes you some sad. So the game is very much like that, where you have to focus on the tasks, and there's not enough freedom, in my opinion, in those specific examples, and this event is no different. They give you different prompts that you need to do, and that's the only way you can advance further. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but it does feel very repetitive in that way. Another thing concerning the gameplay during this event is that you need to travel to different places in the world in order to do research or in order to find materials. For example, they tell you to go to the library because you need to do some research, and then at some stage I believe you need to go to the museum to look at historical paintings or something along those lines, to learn the history of The Sims, or you need to travel to the park to actually find Emmett to start the quest. So there's quite a few times where you need to travel to other lots, and I can understand why they did that, because if you can do everything on the same lot, it seems kind of boring, I think, because you don't really adventure out much. It's probably just their way of getting your Sim to go out to different neighborhoods and different lots. The only issue I have is because the Sims 4 the lots are very isolated where you can only visit one lot at a time, there tends to be a lot of loading screens. And back in the day, loading screens didn't really affect me because I had a really good latest computer. But as the time's gone on, my computer, bless her soul, she's struggling a little bit. Sometimes when I play video games, it sounds like there's a jet engine in my room. That's the type of quality my computer is. I love her, but she's getting up there in the age a little bit. So something that I've noticed is that loading screens in The Sims 4 tend to take a little bit longer, especially after the recent update that we had. I don't know if it's because they redid some of the lots in the base world, or I don't know if they've kind of added stuff to prepare for more DLCs. I only have like 7 DLCs, so the fact that my loading screens are longer just kind of kills me a little bit on the inside. That's a completely different rant, but the point I'm trying to make is that the loading screens don't take 2 seconds like they used to. They take a little bit long, and so having a quest line where you can't advance unless you travel to other lots kind of gets a bit annoying. It kind of breaks the immersion of the event because it's like, oh, I need to find the traveler, and then it's like 5 minutes of a loading screen, and it's just like, oh, I found the traveler, now I need to travel back. So it's like another 5 minutes of loading screen, and I don't know exactly how long it takes me. I'm probably exaggerating, but hopefully you can kind of get my point. It's a bit annoying having to travel to a bunch of different lots just because of the loading screen. The loading screens have always been in The Sims 4, but having an event where there's so many of them, it's just kind of tedious for me. And in my opinion, it kind of made the quality of the event itself suffer a little bit. At least for me. I found the actions to be very repetitive. There wasn't anything new. I will say, I think I completed this event in an hour or just under an hour, but I was playing on 3 times speed, and I think that includes me actually creating the character, so it probably took me less time than that to complete the event. So it can be a fairly quick event to get through. If you just have like a free hour in between, you can just kind of like grind through it and get through it pretty quickly, and I think the rewards are pretty cool, so it might be worth looking into. I think the event should still be running at this point as of when I'm filming this video, so if you're interested in it, go have a look. Now, going over to the reward side of the event, I think the rewards in general are pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the things that you're able to unlock. They have Dina Caliente's classic black dress. They have the milk carton with Bella's missing poster on it. They also have the stripper cake. I don't know what you call it, but it's basically when you would throw a bachelor or bachelorette party, these exotic dances would pop out of a cake. I never played The Sims 1, so I never experienced this for myself, but I just refer to them as the stripper cake, which, sure, why not? I will say that the phone item, you can unlock a landline phone, which at first I thought was pretty cool. You can probably use it in a lot of builds, but unfortunately it's just decoration. You can't actually use it, and I don't know, for me that was just a bit disappointing because in The Sims 4 all of your Sims basically have smartphones, so there's not much use for a landline, but it would have been nice to have the phone menu with the landline as well. It's a small detail, but I think it would have been really nice to have. I think when it comes to sculptures or cluttered items, I can understand not all of them having uses, but I feel like the phone item, it would have been possible to have a use, so that was a little bit disappointing. Another thing that it's a small thing, right? It's not a big deal, but for me as a builder, this is just kind of a small annoyance. With the milk cartons, you can unlock several milk cartons, each with different like missing people's posters on the side, or just kind of nods to other Sim games. I believe there's a character from My Sims on there. I can't think of all of them, but basically they kind of just throwbacks to other Sims games. So it's cool that you can get different milk cartons with different like Sim posters. I think that's a really great idea. My problem as a builder, it clogs the build and buy category because for some reason they just refuse to stack the items. So even though they're all milk cartons, instead of kind of having the different options with the swatches, you get like 5 different milk cartons in the one category, and I feel like they could have really condensed that. I'm assuming maybe they did that because if you don't advance in the event, then you won't be able to unlock certain milk cartons. So that might be the reason, but I just wish it was condensed into one item with different color swatches, and each of the color swatches kind of changes the picture, because at the end of the day it's the same item and it clogs the category. They've also done this with other events. I believe it was it the Halloween event? The spooky event? I don't know. But you could have unlocked these Freezer Bunny statue things, where basically it was the Freezer Bunny, but they're decorated in different styles, which I think is really cool to have. You can have it as decoration. You can just be really creative with it. But again, it's like several different Freezer Bunnies. They just all look a little bit different, and I feel like it would have worked better if it was one Freezer Bunny with different swatches, but for some reason there's just many Freezer Bunnies in my catalog. Again, very small thing, but I did want to point that out. I hope in future events, if they do release an object with different variations, hopefully they will do something like condensing them. I don't think they will, but it's just one of those things that just grind my gears a little bit. Another thing I want to say about the rewards, and I think this is just a general critique, and I don't think many people would agree with this, but when it comes to the rewards, oftentimes in the events there's quite a few cool things you can unlock. Like, for example, you can unlock Dina's dress or the stripper cake and stuff like that. It's really cool to be able to unlock it, but it kind of feels like they run out of things to give you, and so oftentimes you can unlock like a happy potion or a skill level book, and it's a weird thing to unlock because a happy potion I think is like 100 like aspiration points, which is super easy to get. And so for me, whenever my sim gets it, I kind of feel like, okay, like thanks, but I could have got this like very easily. I don't want to seem ungrateful, and of course I understand that they can't release like 20 new items, so I understand to kind of like fill the reward space they're releasing the potions and the skill books, but at the same time they'll give you a skill book but your skill has already gone up a little bit. I don't know, it kind of feels like they're giving you some random stuff when they could give you other things in the game. I don't know. I honestly think that in the events they just don't have enough objects to give you, and so they kind of fill it up with potions and stuff. So I do understand on one hand, but on the other hand it's just like, to me it feels like it's a bit of a useless reward. Overall, even though I have these small grievances, I do think as a whole the event is really good and a really good idea. Even if the gameplay, in my opinion, is lacking a little bit, the story is quite interesting if you want to play through it and if you want to read it. And also, majority of the rewards I do appreciate, and it's nice to kind of have items from past games that kind of give you nostalgia. So I do think this event is worth playing through. I think with anything in life, most of the time people will kind of have good thoughts about it and bad thoughts, so I just kind of wanted to give my opinion on both sides. I would love to hear other people's opinions on this event. Do you disagree with some of my opinions? Do you agree with my opinions? Or is there something that I missed that you want to talk about? Let me know down below in the comments. I would love to read through them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!